Hey guys, a while back I published a video talking about what features I'd like to see in the rumoured DJI Osmo Action 2 camera. And you guys came back to me with heaps more suggestions. So in this video we'll cover what you said you wanted, so don't go away. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel where we review tech related to making YouTube videos and other new gear wish lists just like this one. So if you're liking this content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Now, late last year, I released a video talking about the rumoured features of the DJI Osmo Action 2 camera, given the speculation that's out there that DJI are working on the update to their popular Osmo Action. I had heaps of comments on that video, and you guys were not backward in coming forward with what you wanted in the new camera. And you served up lots of ideas that I hadn't even thought of. So in this video, we'll cover what you said you wanted. Now, the original Osmo Action camera came out in 2019 and was DJI's first real attempt at taking on GoPro. So it really put the cat amongst the pigeons as it challenged the GoPro Hero 7 that was the king of the heap at the time. Now, GoPro also didn't do themselves any favors when they released the GoPro Hero 8 not long after, and it didn't have many of the key features that Osmo Action did, like a front-facing screen. Then in October 2020, GoPro released their Hero 9 camera with, surprise, surprise, a front-facing screen, but also a bunch of updated functions like Hypersmooth 3.0, including, in my opinion, a game-changing addition of a feature called Horizon Leveling, and they've put the ball fairly and squarely back in DJI's court. So now the focus is turned to what DJI are going to do when and if they release an update to their Osmo Action camera. The Osmo Action was DJI's first attempt at an action camera, and they always improve on their first attempt at anything. But to be honest, their first attempt was really good. But what if they could improve on it? What would it be? Well, you told me in no uncertain fashion, so I pulled together a list, and here it is in no particular order. First up, and this one was mentioned a lot, and that is a bigger sensor. Now, most people want a larger 1-inch sensor, with the main reason being so the camera can perform better in low light conditions. Now, this has been a real bugbear with all of these action cameras, including the GoPro, and that is that they perform really well in bright daylight conditions, which makes sense, but in lower light conditions, the image breaks up and gets very grainy. Now, someone else has suggested that they should add the Hasselblad lens setup to complement the larger sensor, like DJI introduced on the Mavic Pro series of drones. The next one, and this is an interesting one that I'd never considered, but it came up several times, and that is Bluetooth connectivity for audio. Now, this relates to both input and output, so being able to connect the camera wirelessly with headphones and also microphones. Now, on the flip side to that, there were heaps of requests for a built-in 3.5mm microphone jack, which is fair enough actually because it's a standard way to connect an external microphone. Bluetooth would be great, but it does mean that you have to have accessories or peripherals that have Bluetooth capability, like wireless Bluetooth headphones or a wireless Bluetooth microphone, and those accessories don't come cheap, which is why a built-in 3.5mm microphone jack makes sense for most people. Currently, to attach an external microphone to the Osmo Action, there's a USB-C input on the camera itself, but you need an additional adapter to access that, and then you can plug the 3.5mm input from your external microphone into the adapter. It works, but it's a bit clunky, and it would be so much easier if you didn't have to use the adapter at all. Now, it's interesting that the people that advocated a Bluetooth connection in many cases were very clear in saying they did not want an integrated 3.5mm microphone jack. Ooh-wee. Some conflict and controversy already. Just wait until the camera is actually announced. Now, on the subject of microphones, there were requests for a gain adjustable microphone input. Presumably this would be software related, and the request mainly came from people who were involved in extreme sports or motorsports and did things like motocross vlogging. They found it hard to get good audio because of the loud nature of their sport, and the audio clips super easily. So that's an interesting one, gain control for the audio. I kind of like that one because a lot of people use the Osmo Action as a streaming camera or in a studio setup to film talking head videos for YouTube, just like this one. Hey, just quickly, if you're getting value from the video so far, guys, it'd be really good if you could hit that like button. It'd really help out the channel. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos. Alrighty, let's get back into the list. Now, to make sure the Action 2 is at least in line with the current offering from GoPro, there are a lot of requests for features like the horizon leveling that GoPro has. Now, this is very similar to the horizon leveling in 360-degree cameras, and whilst it does allow you to do crazy things with the camera and have the horizon and the footage essentially locked in place, if you're not using it at those extreme levels, it does at least make your normal action camera footage look crazy smooth. Now here's one that I mentioned in my original video, and that has to do with introducing additional fields of view. The GoPro offers narrow, linear, wide, super view, and then with the max lens mod even wider. The Osmo Action pretty much offers only one field of view. Now I don't want as many as the GoPro, but maybe something similar to a linear or a narrow field of view would be great, which would be useful for vloggers if you wanted to have a slightly tighter shot. Now here's one that you were probably expecting a lot earlier, and that is 5K or 8K video capability. Now GoPro already offer 5K, and so 8K as a step up has been floated, but interestingly there is many people saying they don't worry about 8K, it's just gimmicky and who needs it anyway, and put the energy into better dynamic range, Bluetooth, better audio, practical things that add to the ease of use and user experience, rather than trying to one-up the competition with features and capability that, to be honest, won't really get used anyway. However, on that topic, there were some requested tweaks to resolution and frame rates. There's also been calls for super slow motion in 1080p, which would mean even higher frame rates. I mean, it already does 240 frames per second at 1080p, which is pretty good. There are also a list of physical changes to the camera itself. Things like putting the memory card in the same place as the battery, and interestingly, change the battery to a regular AA battery. Not sure about that one myself, other than the convenience factor. It would mean a raft of physical internal changes to the camera itself, and the trouble with the cylindrical batteries is they're just not that space efficient. So, not sure about that one. We talked earlier about the option of including a dedicated 3.5mm microphone input into the camera. Well, someone has asked for an HDMI out option as well. So that's a big plug. So if they did do it, that would probably have to make it a mini HDMI port. Now I'm on the fence on this one, and I don't think an HDMI out would be of great use to many people. Good to perhaps play your footage directly from your camera to an external device like a TV, but do you really need to do that? Another use would be output to a smaller monitor. So if you're using the camera in a semi-permanent kind of setup, but again, it's not really in line with the main purpose of the camera, which is as an action camera. But hey, you asked for it, well, someone did, so it's on the list. Now, other things that were very detailed and a little bit technical included a better or larger O-ring to seal the opening for the battery and memory card, and a better or larger O-ring to seal the lens assembly. Now, I've personally never had any issues with seals in these areas, but they seem like small improvements, and they wouldn't cost much, and are probably worth doing to reduce the failure rate for any of these types of faults, so why not? Now, an update to the firmware was suggested, one being an update to once and for all remove the lag that you get when vlogging with the front screen. It was quite an issue when the camera first came out, and through a couple of firmware updates, that was pretty much 90% solved. To be honest, I never found it much of an issue, as I just used the front-facing screen to see if I was framed correctly, and it didn't have to be super precise just to make sure my head was in the frame. However, it's a good build, and one they should probably have the smarts to fix in the next model if they're able to update the processor. And then there were some requests for an improvement to the phone app. Suggestions included more options like the Insta360 app. So for example, if you were filming in a wide field of view, you could reframe your footage to suit within the available field of view, much like you can with the apps that come with the 360 cameras like the Insta360 One X2. With the pending release of the Action 2 camera, there's some really hot pricing out there on the current Osmo Action camera. And while we're speculating about what features we'd like to see in the Action 2, the original Osmo Action is still a fantastic little camera and one of my go-to devices when I'm heading out. If you did want to check out the pricing and pick one up, I'll leave a link in the description below. If you want to see what's on my list of expectations for the Osmo Action 2, then check out this video here, or if you want to see a potential comparison between the best features the GoPro Hero 9 Black has to offer versus the Osmo Action 2, then check out this video. Click on one of the links and I'll see you over there. Thanks guys.